Hey guys, what's going on? Josh here from Polymathics, the YouTube channel that helps you become a modern day Renaissance man. And today we're continuing our series in NaNoWriMology. And we're talking about character. But before we get into it, let me ask you guys, who are your favorite characters from fiction? I know I have a few. I'm just going to name a couple off so that we can use them as examples as we go on. But one of my favorite characters of all time is Darth Vader, because he served as an antagonist, a contagonist, and for the entire trilogy and prequels, the protagonist. The story was all about him and his fall from grace and then redemption. Also from Star Wars, Han Solo. He makes one of the greatest sidekick characters. And then Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games is another really good character. There are plenty of characters from several other places. Spider-Man in both renditions of the movies, and of course in the comic book as well, Peter Parker. And Batman is also another really good flawed character. And the reason why I say flawed character is because so today what we're going to talk about is what are those three essential elements. I'm not saying there aren't others, but what are the three essential elements you have to get right about your character when writing for Nano? Because see, the point of Nano is just to get all the words on the paper, just to blah, word vomit all over the paper so that you can get that first draft out there. But the issue is that while you're typing so fast and trying to remember all these things and get them on the page before you forget, what can happen is that you don't fully develop your characters. And that's fine. That's what, second, third drafts and editing is for, is to really kind of get a grip on how the story and the character really intertwine and can bring out the theme of the story. But there are three things that if we focus on them as we're writing, it can make it easier and it can kind of lay the groundwork for when we do get to go back in the later months after Nano and start editing and revising. And so the first thing that I'm going to say is you need to give your character a flaw. If not two, at least one major flaw that kind of makes them a real person, right? Although Superman may be great, he is like perfect in every way. He's a good guy. He can shoot laser beams out of his freaking eyes, and he can fly, right? And he's a good-looking guy to boot, right? So all the guys hate him, all the girls love him. He's perfect. But in real life, and when you create characters that audiences can relate with, they're going to need flaws. And that's why I brought up Batman, right? Batman has he's his whole childhood, right? He's still trying to recoup from the loss of his mother and father, and he's not really sure how he fits into Gotham. And especially when you look at his origin story, he's lost a little bit, and he has to go out and find himself, and that's when he runs into Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows, and they kind of train him. But there's a darkness about him, right? He's not 100% sane, because no sane person would dress like a bat and go out and fight villains like the Joker and whatnot. But Batman, Peter Parker, he's just a regular everyday guy. Because he's always out fighting crime, being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, he's constantly late for appointments with Mary Jane. He's constantly forgetting his homework or not bringing milk home to Aunt May. There's so many things. He's very forgetful. So things like that are going to make your character, it's going to ground your character and make them seem very real. And the more that you're flaw, your character flaw, can relate to the theme of the story, the better, because at the end of the story, if the theme relates to your character's flaw and they've grown somehow, then that's really going to propel your story forward and resonate with the audience. So, just a couple ideas. Maybe your character isn't comfortable with being around people. Maybe being in the spotlight, like Katniss Everdeen. Or maybe your character has gotten in with the wrong crowd, like Han Solo, and he's trying, desperately to get out. And that leads us into the second thing, which is, what does the character want? That's going to drive the character and kind of explain why the character has even gotten involved in the story in the first place. So a want is different than a need. The character may need a lot of things, and we'll talk about that. But what the character wants, for example, Han Solo again, he wants to get money so that he can get the bounty off of his head. Whereas Darth Vader wants control of the entire galaxy because he believes that that's the right thing to do. And then Katniss wants to be left alone, and she wants safety and survival for her family, and she'll protect them at all costs. So now if we look at the third thing, it's very close and tied in with both the character flaws and the character wants, which is the character's needs. And a lot of times the character will not know what they need, and that's what the story is there to show them. And the reason is because the character, in some sense, represents the audience. And so whatever that character needs is normally what you're trying to convey to the audience. Maybe it's a new approach on life or a new way of doing things. So for example, maybe you're trying to teach your audience to embrace new challenges. If that's the case, then you'll want your character to be very hesitant at going out of their way, and that's their flaws, that they don't want to take on new things. And then at the end of the story, they learn through a sequence of unfortunate events that taking on new challenges makes you stronger, or whatever the case may be. And so to go through our list of characters that we've talked about before, Darth Vader's need is reconciliation and redemption with his family, and all his past sins that he's done, that he's has to atone for. And then if we look at Katniss, what she needs is to stand up and fight for what she believes in, and that has a bigger message to the audience and even the people of Pan Am, right? And then if we look at Han Solo, what he needs is to open up and be a part of a team again and trust people again. Trust, it's really trust. So these are just some ideas, right? But as you're going into Nano and you're going to write, you're not going to be able to think of every single little thing about your character. Focus on the main things, the things that are going to make the character come alive to your audience and also play a bigger part in the theme of the overall story. And again, that's going to be, what is their flaw? What is it that they want, and what is it that they need? So hopefully this has been helpful, and if you like it, please give me a like. And if you want to hear more information like this and you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe, and you'll get all of my future videos about NaNoWriMo and polymathics. But lastly, let me just say, who are your favorite characters and what are their favorite flaws? Was there something that you think is just as important that I should have mentioned in this video? If so, write it down in the comments below and I'll try to address it in one of my other videos. But until next time, you guys keep fighting the good fight and keep writing the good write. Take it easy.